Yeah. Click on the settings. Yep. So you want to make sure that you want the microphone to be. Headset.
Is it saying camera? No, it doesn't make sense. I guess there's some headphones connected somewhere.
So you want the TV for. No, one more. Okay. And
All right, microphone. Oh.
1, 2, 3. I mean, yeah, the microphone is working. Usually the microphone is built into the camera, but. Oh, go to the camera. Let me see what's the name of the camera, and then you pick that for you. Yeah. Same system. Okay, so okay, then you keep it. So you keep the microphone same system. I can see that it catches it. Even if you're here, you see that. Yeah, perfect. That's it. Yeah, you just want to make sure that.
I think. Good afternoon, members of the Agriculture Commission. Thank you for joining us on our monthly meeting today. We're going to continue to try and have our meetings the third Thursday of the month. And then Kelly, when things clear up a little bit for you, we might try and revert back to Wednesdays, or we can all select another day of the week and time that is easiest to meet. But for the being in May and in June, we're going to do the fourth Thursday at 2 o'clock or 2:30. Is there a preference?
I think I have the Zoom scheduled for 2:30, but
Okay, it'll be 2:30 then. I think we should I should have called the meeting to order ahead of time, and now it is 2:08. While I haven't memorized our agenda, I think the first thing we do is ask for approval of the minutes from last month. If I could have a proposer and seconder.
a motion to approve the minutes.
Jacob, motion?
I second.
I second. Oh, I just got an email from Charity that says she's unavailable.
Okay, thank you. Great. Let's pretty much, as far as I can say,
Sorry.
we just.
Do we have to vote on the motion, right?
Okay,
Yeah.
let's vote. Let's vote. What the heck? Vote. All those in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
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 Okay, thank you for your approvals. Unanimous. And now it's pretty much new business, which we didn't really have much of an agenda for today. Would anybody like to raise new business?
I have a new business.
Great. Proceed.
So I recently found out, I'm a beekeeper on Nantucket, and I recently found out that there is an American foul brood outbreak on the island that was found in the fall.
Mhm.
Through the MDAR sends inspectors out once a year. Well, in other places in Massachusetts, it can be kind of on demand. If you have an issue, you can request an inspection. Nantucket is once a year because of the location. And the inspectors were out in the fall of 2023, and they found foul brood in one hive and incinerated it. I was doing some research into it, and it turns out that foul brood is actually there's an issue across Massachusetts. There's a number of cases and have been for the last number of years, and it doesn't seem to be getting better. So potential idea for the Agricultural Commission and kind of tying in with other potentially problematic pests or diseases like
Even bird flu.
right, bird
Yeah.
flu, with regard to agriculture, the spotted lanternfly.
Mhm.
I don't know if that has been detected on Nantucket or I mean,
Southern pine
inevitably
beetle.
southern pine beetle, right? So I don't, to my knowledge, there isn't kind of a central location that one can find out about all these potential pests on Nantucket. It could be something helpful to the island. I feel like, I found out rather delayed about the American foul brood. It would have been sooner.
Mhm. It's anonymous as well, like, we know who it was, but
Right.
I don't know where it was.
Supposedly it was on Squam Road.
Mhm. That's quite near you, so
Yeah,
it
yeah,
would have
it's
been a
quite-
concern.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a potential open question on how to better address these sorts of issues.
Well, is this something that we should explore and then make a motion to creating some sort of an online bulletin board or a WhatsApp or something where people can report things that may be of concern, outbreaks that may be of concern to the island as a whole, or maybe we work with Vince from the environmental, I don't remember his exact title, but he's a great guy. He could perhaps serve as, as a town employee, a place where information like this could be posted. Because right now, I don't believe we have a budget. We have to go to town meeting and ask for a budget. And at some point, we may find that we'd have a lot more teeth if we had issues we were trying to address and had a budget in order to enact them. So.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, and this could potentially, I mean, the Conservation Commission, it is in their purview to do conservation-related work, in addition to the wetland bylaws. They spend most of their time doing wetland bylaw-related work. So, southern pine beetle and things like that could potentially fall under them, but it would be nice for all of this to be centralized. Perhaps through, an email, you could sign up to get an alert and could notify people of different things, and also to have it publicly on the website.
I'm happy to call Seth Engelborg, who's on the Conservation Commission, and ask him if this is something that they would be prepared to do. I mean, that's as good a place as any. So I'm gonna make a note, Posey, to call Seth. Great. It's a good idea. I mean, the bee inspectors are coming again, in May sometime. Those beekeepers who purchased bees for the season, either hives or nukes, those are arriving on May 11, Saturday. And the drop-off pickup is out at the Sustainable Nantucket Farm at 168 Humming Pond Road. Peter Brace has not told us what time yet, but that is a thing for people who order through Peter. And that's a good idea. I think it's worth pursuing.
Did you know the exact date that the MDR inspectors are coming?
I can look, because I know I signed up for it, but I haven't heard. I have not received a sort of a confirmation. I get a million emails from MDR, so I don't know. Updates. It's pretty far back. If I find it, I'll let you know. Because I know, I believe, here. March forum, that was a forum in March. I don't know. I'll look it up, but I'll let you know if I can find it. There was actually a meeting of the land bank yesterday. Well, I'm sorry, I should ask, did anybody else have any New business they'd like to bring to the commission?
Oh, related to the conversation we're having, like, is there a repository or place for kind of farmers that aren't, like, I know you're kind of a place for the farmers that are already associated with sustainable, but is there another place where farmers are able to kind of note seasonal or environmental challenges?
No, but I think this is a perfect forum, because we could put it in our minutes. We could then also, we could create our own news feed and make newsletters available. You know, notes from the Ag Commission on topics of interest, get somebody to do a sexy, you know, stationery for us and you know, send it out. But I think that's, you know, that's part of this good idea about communicating that we're actually here, things that we're trying to accomplish.
Well, and if it could be like dynamic too, so it wasn't just a kind of a newsletter, but a place where people could post observations, experiences, challenges.
What, in your opinion, is the best, most widely used way to collect opinions? Like, I wanted to start a WhatsApp chicken group for people who are raising chickens on the island who have questions, and it could be a forum. Because I heard WhatsApp was probably better for something like that than perhaps even Facebook groups, but I don't know, like I'm old. So.
Yeah, I don't have
All right.
I don't have an obvious answer. Maybe Jacob, you have some thoughts too, but I'm wondering if too is if there was something like this, if it could be kind of categorized so that beekeepers would be posting in one place and people who raise leafy greens are posting in one place. But I can start asking around.
I mean, there's a bird group, there's a plant group, garden group, there's all these different groups. But we could certainly create an ag group for anything that touches agriculture.
Well, maybe instead of trying, if these groups already exist, kind of letting them exist in however form that they do, but trying to have a contact person in the group to then report back to the ag, to then we can, you know, post kind of the most important points on our website or a newsletter, someplace that people can find.
Well, that brings a question. Should we have our own, should we have a website? Is that something that?
Well, I mean, we sort of do, where the, you know, the members are posted, or the commissioners are posted, and I think we can add things to that site.
Really? I mean, I don't know.
I think other commissions might have some more information on their town page. I mean, perhaps we could have a directory to all these kind of sub-agricultural groups.
Sure. So maybe what we need to do is propose a review of the Agriculture Commission public page and see what other public information we could put there and what's the easiest way to access it, or links to other groups that people might be interested in. Honestly, I've never looked at it, so I feel pretty silly about that, but you know, I know that our meeting minutes, our meeting announcements and minutes all are stored somewhere. I don't know if they're on our website. Yep. Okay. I'm going to raise a meeting I was at yesterday of interest to all of us, and that was the Land Bank had a special session yesterday at 4, where they were focusing on everything at the meeting was focusing on agriculture. And Rachel Freeman, who has been sort of running with the agricultural leg of the land bank stool, which the other 2 legs being open space and recreation. The agricultural component is something they have been spending a little bit more time on of late, which I'm gratified by. As you all are probably aware, They own a portion of Moore's End Farm and lease that back to the Slosicks. They purchased from the Larrabees their land and leased that back on a, whatever, 99-year lease. They purchased Ray Owen's Berry Patch Farm, and he has a life lease on that. At which point, I guess, they will determine or send out an RFP to see who would want that or would farm it appropriately. Sustainable Nantucket is a licensee, and we have a 5-year license. Aidan Feeney was awarded a license out at 19 Wawinnet Road, and the RFP put out by the land bank for the adjoining areas of the former Mount Vernon farm that run from Bartlett Road and Hummock Pond Road back and towards the brewery, and then over towards the backside of Bartlett's, and then up against Sustainable Nantucket, which is also land bank land. So that was put up for RFP, and 4 farmers submitted their proposal as a collaborative. And those were Dylan Wallace, Aidan Feeney, Dan Southey, and Dean Long from Cisco's Secret Garden. So the 4 of them were awarded roughly 8, maybe it's 11 acres of this land. And they split it into 4 parcels. So they're each going to manage their own parcel individually, but that is something that, as the land bank has been now making more of their land available for farming, the first thing that comes to mind is what goes into the license. And you cannot farm on Nantucket without deer fencing. You cannot farm without irrigation, and you can't run irrigation pumps without electricity. So what was of note, last night all the commissioners voted and approved that at a minimum, or maybe that's all they're going to do, they will provide deer fencing, irrigation, and the electricity to manage the pumps on any land that they license. So that's a commitment they made, and I think that's great. They also, I think, decided that a 5-year license was harmful to farmers. I think they are going to revise any existing contracts or licenses that they have not yet finalized to be 10 years in term instead of just 5 years, which I'm excited about because I have just done a 5-year license and I'd rather have a 10-year. Of course, you know, they all will come with rules and you have to abide by the rules, and if you don't give them their annual update, then they can throw you off. But, you know, for a farmer, by the time you've amended the soil and made your, you know, soil healthy, it might take a good 4 to 5 years, and you don't want to get kicked off at that point because that's a lot of sweat equity. So those are 2 really interesting things to come out. They also agreed that with the number of projects they have, that is ag and all the community garden spaces that they're working on, that they were going to hire a full-time agriculture employee who, if needed, could also work on other things. But I just thought I would report that out because that's certainly of interest to me. I'm sure it's of interest to Kelly. And actually, I sent around an email to the Ag Committee as well as to a variety of farmers to let them know, if they hadn't seen it, that this meeting was taking place. So at least Dan Southey was able to come, and he provided some really heartfelt but useful information that I think the commissioners needed to hear, because I don't know that they are all aware of how difficult farming is and you know, the value that the land bank does and can and should provide if they're going to take farming on as a topic. So anyway, it's good news.
Does the land bank provide a right of first refusal to the farmers who have, like, if, you know, if they give you a 10-year lease and you want to renew it, do you have a right of first refusal?
Yes, I believe so. You know, they will consider another 10-year renewal unless there's some reason they don't want to. I just had a thing that crossed my brain pan and went flying by. Part of their RFP, they had contracted with the American Farmland Trust to review a number of their processes around the agricultural component. The first of which was to write an actual policy, which I don't know that they asked for my input, but I gave it to them anyway, because I can't help myself. I'm all, why don't you just adopt MDR? You know, like, theirs is pretty straightforward, and it's encompassing of virtually everything that has to do with agriculture, including tree farming, aquaculture, horse farming, da-da-da-da-da, I said, and you could just say that if you're going to have in an RFP, things that are not pertinent to the previous use of the land, like aquaculture, you shouldn't expect to be able to do that, or tree farming, like, I don't know, I think we probably need to replace all the pine trees that have been cut down to stop the southern pine beetle, and I would propose oak, but whatever. So anyway, they did a new agricultural policy, which is on their website. They refined their RFP process, which has quite stringent ranking systems for the experience and skill set and history of farming for any applicant. And anyway, they've now done 2 successful RFPs, and now they just have to live up to the portion of making the land viable to farm, i.e. putting in the fencing and the irrigation. So American Farmland Trust had a series of recommendations, including hiring an agriculture person and being involved with the Agriculture Commission. I did invite them yesterday to come to our meeting, but here we are. Anyway, I think it would really benefit us to have, the land bank be involved in the Agriculture Commission if and when they have time, or maybe when the new person is hired. And if you know anyone who would be a good applicant to run projects of the land bank that are agriculturally focused, I would say hint to them that they reach out to Rachel. So, Nantucket is one of 9 referred to as buy local organizations across the state. Most of them are central, there's a Northeast Harvest community, and it's a central mass. There's Northeast Harbor, Northeast Harvest, Berkshire Grown, there's a whole bunch of them. And Martha's Vineyard is one, Sustainable Nantucket is one, and then there's a couple on the Cape, and Southeast Mass is kind of, anyway, we go for funding through this buy local grant process every year, and it's right now up in front of the legislature to hopefully increase it from $750,000 a year to something bigger, hopefully $1 million. I have gotten grants for Sustainable Nantucket to do more promotion of both agriculture and last time in conjunction with Shellfish Association, because that's certainly part of the food supply that's important to Massachusetts. So I've worked with Sam Danette on that and got her some funding. And also in the past, I've gotten funding and offered website services to a bunch of different farmers. And Abby at Slowsec took me up on a new website. Peter Brace from the Beekeepers took me up on a new website. And, I think since I should be representing all agriculture through this MDR grant, which is to promote agriculture, I can't just kind of limit it to our little 3 farmers. And so, I'm hoping that through the Agriculture Commission, we can somehow create a greater cohesive sense of farming here, and growing it however we can. And I have 3 things I'm desperate to do, which is to focus on non-conventional farming, because I think the land is it's so hard to get a hold of. Somebody bought 13 acres out on Eel Point Road from somebody I know, because she had bought it initially 25 years ago in case she had to move her house back from the ocean side and needed the space in the back. But since she's getting old and the house hasn't really gotten into trouble, she sold the property. I think her budding neighbor bought it for like 26 million or something for 13 acres. I'm like, oh my God, no wonder nobody can farm. But, you know, I guess my point being, there's not that much land that's really all that arable on this island, and the land bank hasn't even gone through an inventory of their own land to know what would be good, suitable for farmland, in case there's another RFP that could go out. And so I'm anxious to get whatever piece the land bank has that's kind of scruffy and not suitable for farming, but they don't know what they're gonna do with it, and see if we can do agriculture-related business there. Like, I wanna have a geothermal greenhouse. I'd like to see us get some, you know, some trailers where we can grow mushrooms and vertical hydroponic farming. And I'd like to have the place where we can slaughter the chickens and make that available to the food supply. So I'm eventually gonna go in there and see if I can wangle my way to electricity and water and land and see what they say. I don't know, I have that in front of my board now, see if they wanna support that. Because then I can fundraise for it and get all that stuff. And I think I know a couple of deep pockets up on Main Street that might be interested in the energy efficiency and access to food. That might be of interest, we'll see. That's my new business. One other thing, I went with Remain over to Rhode Island on Monday, and we went down to a group called Bootstrap Composting, and they operate in Rhode Island and Massachusetts, and they have a deep foothold in, I think, the Rhode Island schools, where they pick up all the food scraps. And then they have a lot of commercial customers and then residential customers. They give them either big bins or, you know, 5-gallon buckets, and they will pick it up and turn it into compost. And then depending upon what level of pickup, you know, whatever your cost structure is, they give you back buckets of compost at the end of the day. And then they sell the rest. And I think Remain is interested in this because they now own 4 food service operations, and they're concerned about their impact with food scraps and maybe viewing this as an opportunity to do something more widespread. So included in the meeting was Chris Lowe from the new Department of Public Works / dump guy, and Alicia, who is also works for them, and the town is considering a replacement for their long-standing contract with Waste Options out at the dump. So they're very interested in, you know, keeping abreast of new things that might help to reduce the amount of stuff that goes into the dump. And I'm interested in that. So anyway, just thought I'd report that out.
Would Remain want to expand to just all food establishments?
Whether it's Remain or whether it's DPW. Like, when you think about it, I don't know, I'm a pretty good, I sort, and then I take my stuff to the dump because I live quite near it. And I socialize there because it's fun. But for the most part, many people just have Miles Rees or Santos, I think they've merged, they come and pick it up. They are not, you know, saying no to people who don't sort. They just pick it up and then they chuck it. And somebody's gotta go and sort it, and I really feel like the town ought to require, if these guys are gonna make money picking stuff up, then they should have the power to say no to somebody who didn't sort their trash. And if they pick it up and it wasn't sorted, then they should bear the fine. Because there's gotta be some sort of compliance issue.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't fall on the Board of Health, it shouldn't really fall on the DPW, but somebody's gotta take responsibility for lack of compliance, particularly for people who rent in the summer. They don't care, you know.
There's also just a lot of waste generated from rental turnovers, because you take the fridge and you throw it in the trash, and then new people come in and replace the fridge with new food, and then a week later they take it and throw it in the trash.
Yeah, it's terrible. I mean, all of that should be part of a, you know, Kelly knows this all too well, you know, like, where's the food rescue component? Where is the ability to have rental agents enforce not wasting.
Yeah.
Pick it up and just put it somewhere and make it available, I don't know. But what I like about having people on this commission is there are topics that we can talk about, and if somebody says, oh, here's 2 other ideas around that same thing, if we can coalesce on 1 or 2 topics and then partner with somebody who can actually do something about it, then that is great.
And so what about the intermediate school digester?
Hmm.
You learn anything more about that?
No, I haven't had a chance to. There's a new facilities person at the school. Ella Potenza, who is my farm to school manager and used to teach at the school, has some deep, contacts, the treasurer and a bunch of principals and whatnot. So we're kind of poking around and seeing where there might be room for more storage if possible, cold storage, if the digester will ever be used, but if not, is there a use for it elsewhere?
Yeah.
Would Remain want it for their thing, just to do a pilot program. Because if it's not gonna be used, then it's just a very expensive doorstop or whatever it is, it's just wasting space. So I don't have any further insight there, but I have lots of ideas, but I just don't have the bandwidth to do them.
The digester's unused right now, do we know?
It was installed when they built all the big new buildings, intermediate school. And according to Graham Durovich, when she was the composting specialist, it has not been used because they didn't have enough food waste at the school to run through it, or something else. I don't know what it was. I have the specs on that machine in my office. And I'm gonna maybe turn that back over. I'll turn it over to Chris Lowe and go, where can you use this? I know it's way too small scale for the dump, but, or maybe even Karen McCumber wants it out at the hive. I don't know. Like, I just hate to have something sit idle. It's just not, it's unfortunate.
How big is it?
I have the specs in my office. I'm happy to share them. I got them from a former finance committee member who had to approve purchase.
Backtracking a little bit to the land bank stuff, what was the timeline for their ag representative coming on board?
Well, they just
There was one.
going forward, so I think they'll probably write up a job description and then put it out there. Because I work with all these other buy locals, there's job boards, ag job boards all over the place. So I'm going to try and take a few of those and send them to Rachel and let her post this job out there. Because why not? They can house. They seem to be able to house people. Sadly, I couldn't house anybody.
Was the land bank conversation a lot about like existing projects, or was there also kind of content about like their long-term ag intentions and ambitions?
I was late, but I sent a board member and Ella in to take notes for me, and also Dan Southey did go and provide content. But I think we all can look around and see it for ourselves that the land bank has so many projects going on right now. There's so many, and in one phase or another of completion. I think they have too many projects going on. They can't get them all done. So they pretty much said they wanted to table for the time being any new agricultural projects. And I'm like, I don't want to hear that, but they've got the lily pond, they've got this park down here on Easton Street, they've got the whole coastal resiliency. I didn't see that in their mission statement. They've got a lot of projects. And I think, they've got at least 2 ag projects that they want to see complete. And then they've got all the community gardens. Brand new thing. Got to do a whole new parking lot, got to build this stuff up. They got a lot going on. So there was not a lot of long range discussed last night.
Mm-hmm.
Any other new business or things that we should be following up on? I haven't heard anything further from potential partners on 4-H. Sadly, Sam Kepperston and Emma Cantola are moving off island. I don't know that Mass Audubon is replacing anybody for Sam's role. I hadn't heard that anyway. And I thought he would have been a great partner for this. Tara Corbett from Boys and Girls Club said, what might you mean by this? And to that, like, I don't know. It's always fun to talk to people about, could we start a 4-H club and what would the content be? And it could be literally anything, but, you know, we need to, if we're gonna pursue it, it's gotta be somebody with a vision on what we want to accomplish.
Yeah, I mean, perhaps it may, you were talking about land banks or farming RFPs requiring experience. And so how do you apply for that RFP? How do you, if you're on Nantucket, and it's very hard to get land to farm other than through land bank, how do you apply for an RFP that requires farming experience? And maybe the community gardens are kind of a way of getting small scale experience and then moving to bigger and bigger. And maybe 4-H is a way of getting kids involved with agriculture to then kind of move into community gardens, move into larger agriculture.
Yeah, I think that, you know, I mean, the thing right now is land banks, means of populating this new community garden space out next to Valero's on South Shore Road is you apply for it. They're making some plots available to not-for-profits who wanna, you know, collaborate together and do things for food security or whatever their mission-based component is to these community gardens. So if there were a 4-H club that could have their own bed, that might be something fun. Ella, again, is on the committee for the community garden. You know, I don't know that she's got time or bandwidth to start a whole new thing out there. You know, she's got enough to do just bringing kids into the farm school garden that we run, so.
Okay, so that gets kids from the school.
Yeah.
So maybe, I mean, maybe that is, maybe the 4-H club isn't so necessary if something like that exists.
I mean, you know, if we had more of an animal culture here, like, you know, milking goats or milking cows or shearing sheep, or if we had more animal-based agriculture, that would be something really fun and cool. The only ones I know are pigs out of Moore's End and Nicole DuPont's sheep grazing under the solar panels at Bartlett's.
And shellfish.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if, they would be interested in.
I mean, I don't know. For example, the Egan Maritime Institute sponsors a teacher in the Cyrus Pierce Middle School, 8th graders on Sea of Opportunities, which is making kids in the 8th grade aware of all things maritime in the harbor. So Sheila Lucy and the Oysterman and the Natural Resources group out on Grant Point and I don't know, you know, whatever else they might be doing. They pay for that teacher in the school, which is pretty cool. I don't know how that interfaces with the Shellfish Association, but I'm sure they all are talking about this stuff. And maybe Mariah Mitchell gets involved there too. I just don't know. So it seems like there's enough resources around the ocean that they could do their own thing. But, you know, if there were, like, Mariah Mitchell would be the perfect place to work with Sustainable Nantucket on a 4-H type of thing, because they have such a science-based organization and culture, and, you know, we could find ways to sort of blend them together. We already include them in their summer camps at our farm to school garden and take them on farm tours and stuff like that, but, you know, but that's just one of the many things they do. Pamela, anything new from your corner of the island?
No, I'm sorry to report. I have nothing new to add. Wish I did.
Right. Well, I thought I'd raise one more thing. Abby Slosek runs the Island Fair. And the Island Fair, I think they have dates they've chosen. They've become, the Community Foundation for Nantucket has sponsored Island Fair as a not-for-profit entity. I wrote them a letter. I wrote Abby, the Island Fair, a letter of support for her grant request to the Nantucket Golf Club Foundation. You know, I think it's a wonderful, historic event that has really struggled in the last post-COVID years. And trying to get it back on its feet is worthwhile, and it's gonna take some money. They're trying to buy tents, they're trying to store tents, they're trying to so I've written from Sustainable Nantucket a letter of support. I would love to have the Agriculture Commission also write a letter of support if it's not too late.
Yeah, I was emailing with Abby and she said she already submitted the grant.
Okay, great, then we're done, yeah.
But I think it is a good thing to have on our radar and how we can support.
Yeah. Yeah, I tried to find more grant funding from MDR, but, you know, the only things that they would fund would be certifying judges, who would be judging the apple pie and the peach compote or whatever. We don't really have that much of an animal component to the fair unless Ray Owen brings out his turkey and his chicken. I don't know, there's just not animals on this island.
Yeah.
So, you know, they're retaining the best of what they can and some of the games and fun things. And it's gonna go back out to Tom Nevers, I think, so that's good.
I mean, there's probably enough beekeepers that we could do a honey.
Tasting?
Yeah.
Yeah. There would be. Peter Brace and I, 2 years ago, maybe 3, had a honey tasting up on the church, on Center and Main Street. Methodist Church? No. At any rate, that was fun, but, you know, we didn't get that much. I mean, the idea was to let people taste different things and buy them, but I think it would be fun to do again. Also, we're trying to put together a series of workshops. We're gonna have a seed starting workshop with Aiden Feeney. Dan's gonna do a workshop, I haven't heard the topic yet. The following week, I think we're getting Ann Dawson to do a session on microgreens. I'm hoping I can get Nick to do something on mushroom logs. And if you guys can think of any other workshop ideas that would be of interest, we will find somebody to lead it, and we wanna advertise all these things and you know, do some new content, so we're open to, you know, Peter Brace could do a beekeeping thing, but we're open to any workshop ideas. And that's all I got. And if nobody has anything else, I might be able to run and catch the 3 o'clock ferry.
It's something else, but it should still leave you time to catch the ferry. I think Posey, you already know a little bit about this, but the company I work for, Process First, in partnership with the Land Bank and Remain, have been doing some research about just ag infrastructure, and that report should be, I think, done within the month. And it's just about current capacity, kind of potential capacity, and the very kind of roadblocks and the scale of those roadblocks and achieving this kind of bigger capacity. So yeah, not kind of an actionable item, but it should be really interesting, and I'll share that with everyone when it comes out.
Great. Yeah, I can't wait. You know, getting hard numbers is hard.
Yeah, yeah, we did. The kind of the number side is a little stronger, kind of on the food security sector, food security context. But we definitely were able to get some hard numbers and quantifiable stuff from farmers as well.
Mhm.
But yeah, there's definitely like a lack of infrastructure for them to have to all have kind of the same numbers. They each kind of have the numbers that are more aligned with the things that they prioritize. So that actually could be maybe a longer term idea or yeah, project is kind of creating a more uniform form of uniform accounting mechanism for
Yeah.
ag
I would love
activities.
to also get the number of pounds of honey that island beekeepers harvest each year. It's hard to get anybody to sort of be definitive about any numbers, and I think they treat it all very defensively.
Hmm.
Yeah, but it really helps to have hard data in order to get grants.
Yeah, maybe out of our report, we kind of the ag commission can align on looking into whatever gaps we identify and kind of
Yeah.
moving initiatives forward.
That'd be awesome. Look forward to that.
You want to go catch the boat?
Yeah, I just found out it's at 3:30, so I'm good, but
Okay.
yes, I would, motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, at 2:52, adjourn. And we're now going to vote, all in favor of adjourning.
Aye,
Aye.
Thank you all.
thank you.
Okay, thanks Pamela, have a good weekend, see you in a
You
little
too.
bit.
Bye, everybody.